Hi, from MacBreak Weekly, episode 183. This week, Alex, Lindsay, and I answer your questions via Twalkin and chat. Plus, take a look at the latest news. MacBreak Weekly is coming up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for MacBreak Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 183 for March 2nd, 2010. I'm Twalkin here. MacBreak Weekly is brought to you by GoToMeeting. Do more and travel less with GoToMeeting. Make your next meeting a GoToMeeting instead. For your free 30-day trial, visit gotomeeting.com/MacBreak. And by Audible.com. To download a free audiobook of your choice, go to audible.com/MacBreak. And by Carbonite, the leader in online backup. Back up your PC or Mac off-site securely and automatically. For a free trial offer plus 2 free months with purchase, go to Carbonite.com. Offer code MacBreak. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, episode 183. A very special MacBreak Weekly, mostly because we don't have any hosts except me and Alex.
We like to call it the one-on-one. Leo and Alex.
Alex Lindsay's here from the Pixel Corps, pixelcorps.com, the great guild of multimedia artists learning and working in the biz. Also, pixelcorps.tv for the podcast. And Andy is in transit. He's in Wisconsin. Merlin is on deadline. So it's just you and me, but we're going to take calls.
Sounds great to me.
So I'm opening up the Twalkin line, and as soon as Twalkin is...
As soon as it can pick itself up.
Well, I made a mistake. Pre-show, I announced it, and now I can't get through. So, but we do have some stories, some big stories that we might want to talk about a little bit, Alex, starting with a massive lawsuit that broke this morning. Apple suing HTC, basically asserting patent infringement on both the Windows Mobile and the Android HTC handsets, and presumably asking HTC to stop selling them. They say that HTC violates as many as 20 patents that Apple has in the iPhone interface and hardware architecture. They've also filed a parallel complaint with the International Trade Commission to block importation of these devices. We saw this before. Nokia and Apple did this whole thing.
Well, I will admit that Apple said very clearly when they launched the iPhone that they were going to vigorously. They had a whole bunch of patents that they were going to vigorously use.
Let me read you.
I have to admit, when I saw the HTC come out, when they were showing what it was doing, I was kind of surprised. I was like, I wonder when they're going to get the
with multi-touch or
all that. Yeah, the multi-touch and all the stuff that feels like an iPhone. I mean, Apple.
Here, let me tell you what the patents that they're suing.
I don't know whether Apple can do it, but I'm.
First, Steve Jobs says, we can sit by and watch competitors steal our patented inventions, or we can do something about it. We have decided to do something about it. This is Steve Jobs in a written statement. We think competition is healthy, but competitors should create their own original technology, not steal ours. Patents include these 10: time-based, non-constant translation of user interface objects between states. I don't know what that is. Touchscreen device method and graphical user interface for determining commands by applying heuristics. Unlocking a device by performing gestures on an unlock image. It's funny because the iPhone doesn't use that, but the Android does. Apparently, Apple still patented it. You know, that thing where you draw a gesture instead of entering a number as you do on the iPhone. System and method for managing power conditions within a digital camera device. Remember, Apple had the Quick Cam. They were one of the first early digital cameras. Maybe this was from there. Automated response to...
14 years is the end.
Oh, that's right. So that would be long. Maybe not long gone, but mostly gone. Automated response to and sensing of user activity in portable devices. That might be like putting it to your ear, the accelerometer stuff. GMSK signal processors for improved communications capacity and quality. These are all patents that Apple asserts are being violated by HTC. Conserving power by reducing voltage supplied to an instruction processing portion of a processor. Oh, you mean like Intel SpeedStep? Yeah, okay. Object-oriented graphics system. Apple must have patented that a while ago. Object-oriented event notification system with listener registration of both interests and methods. Ars Technica has a list of all these with links back to the actual patent if you're so interested that you want to see it. I have to think that this comes on the heels of Google putting multi-touch back into the Nexus One. Remember, it didn't come with multi-touch.
They decided not to get too. They decided not to go too close, and they got a little too close.
Right. Well, the rumor was, I don't know how true this was, that Google, because of its close ties to Apple, decided not to do this, or maybe because they were worried about a lawsuit, I don't know, but decided not to put multi-touch in the Nexus One in the States. They put it in Europe, in the States, and because of the Apple patents. But then when Google and Apple got in that little shooting war, when Steve said that do no evil thing is BS, things like that, when they blocked Google Voice in the App Store, on and on and on, I guess Google upgraded the Nexus One 2.1 to Update 1 and added multi-touch. So maybe I don't see multi-touch in this patent, but
I do say I will say that this is it is incredibly well timed from Apple's point of view, from a cynical sort of way, which is that you wouldn't want to shut production down at the beginning. You want to shut it down when the hook is all the way in.
Yeah.
And this is about as painful. I mean, this would devastate the market. I mean, it would allow Apple to pull far enough away that no one would catch up. It'd be like iTunes. If they're able to actually, if they're actually able to do it.
And there's a risk. And this was the story. The Google's rumor was Apple asked them not to because they knew it was shaky and they were worried about a court challenge. They knew if they put multi-touch in, Apple would have to go to court. But Apple might be a little afraid, especially of this multi-touch patent, which clearly has prior art. I mean, there's a ton of prior art on multi-touch. The patent would fall, and wouldn't it be worse for Apple if the patent falls?
At this point, everyone's ignoring it now. I mean, everyone. When you look at the HTC, everyone's obviously ignoring most of those patents anyway. So the thing is that I think that Apple has nothing at this point. There was enough of them. Enough lines were crossed. One or two by themselves, maybe not, but enough lines are crossed that Apple doesn't have anything to lose at this point. They might as well just
go for
it.
20. There's certain 20 patent violations.
And remember, only one or two of them would be enough. The thing is, they're firing.
All I need is one, and the ITC will say you can't import the thing because, in fact, they may even be able to get a temporary restraining order now.
Right.
If a judge says there's enough merit in it, they could.
I wonder if they have to. If the judge has to recuse themselves if they have an iPhone.
If they have an iPhone. Or an Android phone, or a Windows mobile phone. That kind of means that the only judge that can rule on this is somebody who's using like a flip phone and has no idea what they're talking about.
Right. So it's it'll be interesting. I think that they Apple lives on their patents, and so and they don't live on them by enforcing patent. They live on by actually creating stuff with those.
Well, it's like IBM. IBM
is their business.
Yeah, IBM hasn't been a dominant force in computing in years, but is still very profitable because they have a ton of patents.
Billions on their patents.
Yeah. And that was a big thing for them, was R&D. That was an intentional business strategy.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's going to be...
We're going to open the lines in a little bit. I'm continuing to call Twalkin. As soon as we get in on Twalkin, we're going to start taking questions for Alex, Lindsay, and myself. We'll give out the Twalkin number. Well, actually, I'm not going to give it out till I get in, and then I'll give it out. Having learned my lesson. Meanwhile, though, we're going to continue with the news in just a bit. But first, a word from our friends at Citrix, the makers of GoToMeeting, now on the Mac. We did kind of avoid talking about this product on MacBreak Weekly because even though it's such a useful product, because we wanted to make sure it was a Mac-ish product, and it is. It is. You can try it right now free. No, you just go to GoToMeeting.com/MacBreak. GoToMeeting.com/MacBreak, and you'll install it. Now, anytime somebody wants to have a conference call with you, or wants to participate with you in training or collaborate on a document. I'm working on my Ignite speech. This would be a great way to rehearse the speech with somebody else. You just say, okay, fine, go to GoToMeeting.com, click to join a meeting, here's the ID, and boom, they're seeing your screen on their desktop real time. So you can have meetings right from your computer as if you were in the room with the people you're meeting with. That saves you time, it saves you money, you get more done. I use it all the time. For sales presentations, for product demos, training sessions, collaborating. $49 means as many meetings as you want, as long as you want. There's never a clock ticking. And by the way, that also includes phone and voice over IP conferencing. Free.
This is really the future.
Oh, it's so great. I mean, nobody wants to travel.
More and more and more online meetings. Well, it's not even just the travel. It's being able to get a whole slew of people that could never take 2 days out. You have a 1 hour meeting. You don't have to have everyone show up in the same place. You just can't. They're all over the world. I mean, we're in a global production market now.
GoToMeeting.com/MacBreak. Join right now. Would you get a free copy? And I think you're going to see why we say this is such a great tool. I have. It's funny, when we started the show, I forgot that Andy wasn't going to be here. He's on a plane. So I called him like 100 times. And now I'm trying to call Twalkin like 100 times, and I can't get through to them.
It's just one of those days.
It's one of those days where it's just me and Alex. That's okay. Condé Nast confirms at least 5 magazine titles are iPad bound. iPad bound, going on and trucking. Isn't that a song? No, that's something else. This is from the New York Times. Wired,
Yeah.
GQ. There is an iPhone app already, so that's no brainer. Vanity Fair, I like that. That's a very visual, picture-focused magazine, so that would be a logical one for the iPad. New Yorker, I'm really happy about that.
That'll be interesting.
I get the New Yorker on the Kindle, but you don't, and you do get the cartoons, but it's just not the same. One of my favorite magazines, and here you go. This is the magazine I read. I think it was my magazine, Glamour.
So it looks like they're kind of testing a whole bunch of different markets. Let's stick out.
Yeah, well, Wired makes sense, and you've seen that Wired video. Did you see that?
Oh, I thought it was impressive. I think that I was talking to someone in this business, and they're really talking about how photographers, they're telling a lot of their photographers, we're sending you way overseas. You're going to need you to come back with video. Like if
that's the future.
We don't have the budget, and all of these magazines, because of the iPad, because of all this stuff, are going to require video. I mean, all these what used to be stills.
It's good for you, isn't it?
Video. It's
really good for companies like Pixel Corp, because this is what you do.
This is what we've been working on for a long time.
Yeah.
So we're
always talked about also the notion that there would be embedded links to advertisers' content and stuff, and now we
did early test MacBreak. Episode 4 had embedded links. I mean,
right, and it screwed everybody up. They went down. They couldn't figure it out.
Like, why would you do this?
Well, it was early days, but that used QuickTime or Flash.
That version 4, episode 4 from MacBreak Video used QuickTime. We had a couple other versions.
Can you still do it with QuickTime, or did they take that capability?
It won't work with the new Leopard. Yeah,
the Snow Leopard
kind of
QuickTime X
destroys a lot of that. And so but what we're looking at is the silver lining there is that we really
don't
think
say
that
silver light.
It's silver. The silver lining is silver light. It's we're excited about the iPad, so we're going to be doing iPad development and also looking at both the LP and DVD extra stuff and how we can use that inside of MacBreak to make stuff more interactive.
I think that, I've been saying for some time that I think the iPad has a natural market, about 15 different niches, and it's going to be a huge seller. This is just kind of making it a little bit stronger. But it really would be a killer app on this? If National Geographic published on the iPad. Yeah. And not just the pictures, but did the video. Because they have a lot of video. They shoot video as they shoot the stills.
No, it'd be, they're so... the thing is
wouldn't you love that?
Well, this is the big opportunity that the iPad provides for all of these publishers is something that is truly better than the magazine, truly better than the online version, truly better... it's a mixture of both of those. This is really the first true convergent device that makes it easy to mix all of this stuff up together. What I'm hoping is that we're going to see what Apple really needs to do is they need to make sure that the authoring of this is easy because right now it's not, and I think that
really. What do you use?
Well, I mean,
it's just HTML and CSS.
Yeah.
So it would just be a content management system could do this.
It is. It's just that the thing is that they have tools. They have, whether it's iDVD or DVD Studio Pro, they have interactive creation tools that are available. Tweaking that kind of stuff.
What about something like Zenio, which is already out there? And
it's possible. It's just that they have all these publishing tools, whether it's Pages or whether it's Keynote. It'd be great if I could use Keynote to just punch out
Quark Express.
Well, you want something like that for that lets you embed all that stuff, that lets anybody do that. And that'll be a huge explosion of the usage of the iPad.
What is now the default application? It used to be PageMaker, and that went away from Aldis.
It's
Remember
really
that? Is it Quark still?
No. Quark has fallen behind. It's InDesign. So
InDesign is what everybody uses. That's an Adobe product.
It's an Adobe product. Yeah.
Which means...
Well, this is a big, I think Adobe's starting to get a little twitchy about this because, it's...
but if they made an InDesign plug-in for the iPad... But see, I bet you they want...
InDesign already does stuff for Flash.
This is a tit for tat. You say, well, Apple, you think of all the publishers you get who are currently using InDesign. If there's a one-button publish to iPad...
They won't do it.
But in order to do that, you have to put the Flash on.
No way. Apple's not going to do
They're
it.
dogmatic.
Well, they just don't. Beyond the technical reasons of memory usage and stability and battery usage and everything else, Apple. I think Apple is and Google is the same, which is they want to commoditize their control. I think we've talked about that before, but they, so they want it to be available to everyone, or they want to have control over it. Apple tends to want to control more, and Google wants to tend to commoditize.
So
more,
the solution is you release Apple releases an InDesign.
Well, they have Pages.
Yeah, Pages could easily be but Pages doesn't have any of the tools that publishers want.
But they don't need. I don't think that they. Here's the deal: is I think Apple's going down the same route of the disk is dead. I think Apple's going down paper is dead.
Right.
I don't think that they don't
stop
care
using
about
InDesign because it doesn't matter. Just do HTML.
But what Apple has to do is provide a valid solution to publish for the iPad easily.
Well, Condé Nast apparently is.
Well, no, you can muscle through it. Now, here's the thing: is it's just that it's how quick would adoption be if it was really really easy to develop for the iPad.
Right.
It's just that the adoption is going to be slower. You can muscle through anything. You can get it all done. It's just that it requires a lot more thinking than it should to develop the content for this.
According to a foolish analyst.
Foolish.
I really don't like to report the analysts because the analysts have no idea.
Just for PR.
It's their business.
Let's say something crazy.
They write, it's partly PR, partly they're always writing these reports for their clients, and their clients, pay good money to find out.
Right.
According to, I never even heard of this one, Canaccord Adams analyst Peter Misek wrote a research note on Monday in which he said Apple's Taiwan-based supplier Han High Precision could be facing he even couched it, could be facing a production bottleneck or a shortage of components. He says, quote, an unspecified production problem at the iPad's manufacturer, Han High Precision, will likely limit the launch region to the U.S. and the number of units to roughly 300,000 in the month of March.
Here comes the lines.
Far lower than the company's initial estimate of 1 million units. The delay in production ramp will likely impact Apple's April unit estimate of 800,000 as well. Apple still hasn't told us anything about a release date.
They said a month, right? Or 60 days after.
This is 60 days, which would be March 27th.
Yes.
Or
something like that.
Something like that.
26, 27, something like that.
Well, there's there are only 28 days in February. They announced this January 27th, so that's 4 plus 20 is 32.
How far can you push it?
So there's 20. It would be March 28th.
March 28th.
According to my careful calculations. Math is hard. Math is hard.
So they would be late after that. I think from Apple's PR perspective, having less than you expected is probably better.
Yeah,
you're going to get the big lines. You're going to get all
we style shortages. Even if you didn't have it, you almost would want to do it. And then it also covers up if there is a shortfall in sales. If you don't perhaps get those million sales in the first month,
you're going to have those big lines.
You'll have big lines. And I'll be honest, people have been asking me, oh, you're going to do the 28 hours of or 24 hours of iPad like you did 24 hours of iPhone. Well, there were legitimate lines for the iPhone, but then the third generation iPhone,
they show up at 9 o'clock at night, and it was empty.
There was no line, and you could order it and have it delivered that day. We don't know yet, but I would. Well, see, this is the question: if Apple does that with the iPad, and there's no reason not to, because you don't have to do in-store activation; it's just a device.
Right.
Then I will get on Apple.com. I will order it. I will get it day of. I won't wait in line. So I thought, well, I'm not going to do any coverage. But on the other hand, if there's a massive shortage,
we're going to have to cover it.
And if there are people fighting them,
we're going to have to film that. We're going to have to film the fights.
to cover it. So, I mean, there's the process right there. I mean, of why things get covered.
I think they're better off having shortages from a PR perspective. It bums me out because I just don't know if I'll be able to get one.
We're going to take questions, but I can't get into Twalkin, so we'll do IRC questions. So if you're watching live, this is only good, obviously, in any event for somebody watching live. Live.twit.tv is where you can watch. Of course, you can listen at twit.am, and the chat room is irc.twit.tv. If you get in there, we will start taking questions in a little bit. A couple more news stories before we do that. This is a very special, let's talk about making lemonade out of a lemon, very special issue of MacBreak Weekly. It's just me and Alex because, well, I frankly, I didn't plan. Those who fail to plan, you know what they do, Alex?
They fail.
Well, that's kind of a shorter version of it. It's not quite the bon mot I was going for.
Did you see that AT&T expands their 3G microcell to, there's like North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, San Diego, and Las Vegas. Not the places that we need it, like New York and San Francisco. Sorry. I just kind of...
They'll have it in Austin.
Not that I'm bitter.
They'll have it in Austin.
Not that I'm bitter.
Where are they going to do it?
Not San Francisco. That's what I read.
That's all you care about.
I looked at it and I was like, not San Francisco and not New York. Yeah, I just don't care after that. It's just like it was like San Francisco, New York, and then there was like all the other cities that were not me. And I don't mean that just by those are the cities that I'm in a lot. It's that those are the ones where everything drops out. I mean, when I'm in, I guess in Las Vegas they drop out a lot. So I can see Las Vegas a little bit, but
Vegas actually, as I remember
really
from
bad.
CES, was really bad.
Yeah, it was.
They're
bad
really a
when I was at
sprint town.
CES. Yeah, it was.
But see,
was
where
like
I would be doing it, South by Southwest is coming up.
Austin.
In March 12th in Austin. I'm going to be there. We're going to be covering it live Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That traditionally, in fact, last year was a disaster for AT&T because every single one of those geeks at the Interactive Festival has an iPhone.
Yeah.
So AT&T was scrambled. They brought in trucks with mini towers.
Right.
I hope they're thinking ahead this time, or maybe they're thinking, oh, well, that couldn't happen again.
Right.
Oh, that was just a once in a lifetime. You could sell that truck, Joe. We're never going to need that again.
Are you going to have barbecue?
Yeah. I'm looking for
County Line.
I've been to County Line.
The original County Line?
Yeah, we
the one at the B
up on the hill.
Bee Caves?
No, I was up on the hill. Must be the new one.
It's kind of on a hill. It's
so
the original.
We did the screensavers from Austin about 8 years ago, and the County Line invited us, and it was like 30 people, and they sat us at a long table. This was they spiffed us. It was very nice. They sat us at a long table, and they just brought brisket and chicken and all the and pulled pork, and we chowed down.
Then you couldn't move.
And then they said, "Okay, that's the first course," and they brought more.
And
they kept bringing more. They kept bringing more. It was so incredible.
I used to wait tables at the County Line.
Did you?
Yeah, not in Austin. And there was one in Colorado. So I know like I know all the secrets and all the things to order.
And then there was no menu. They just brought stuff, everything, brisket, chicken,
is so good.
Beef, pork.
Get the good bread. That's all I got to say. If you're down there in County Line,
bad bread.
Well, you can get the free bread. And
you know what they do? They give you white bread, like Wonder Bread.
It's like this nasty little one. But
they do this here in Oakland. There's a barbecue place in Oakland, which is kind of a rough neighborhood, called Flint's, and they're behind bars. So you go and you say, "Please, sir, can I have some barbecue? What do you want?" And then they slide it through the bars after you slide your money through, and there's it's a pile of barbecue with a piece of Wonder Bread.
Right.
Slapped right on the top of it. That's the bread. So I'm taking that's not the good bread.
Well, they have a little loaf that you get for free, and if you pay for it, you get the best bread you've ever had. That's all I got to say.
I'm going. But before we go any farther with that, let us do a little commercial here for our good friends at Audible.com. You know about Audible. I tell you about it enough. I would think I wouldn't even have to do a commercial. You just could go out and get Audible. But goodness knows there's probably somebody out there, someone in this great wide world of ours who doesn't know about Audible.
I heard that people read books. Is that true?
Yeah, I tried that once. My eyes got tired. Do your ears ever get tired? I don't think so.
Not really.
Your eyes get tired, but your ears, no, they could listen all day.
Well, the thing is I get through so much more of it because the problem with reading for me is unitasking. I don't want to unitask.
No, I want to garden. I want to run on the treadmill. I want to drive. I want to do other stuff and read.
You can always tell when I'm listening to a lot of audiobooks because my house is very clean.
Yeah, it's true. Look, if you're looking for a kind of an excuse to drive carpool or clean more often or spend more time at the gym, which is how I use it, Audible is a great way to do that because you want to. You actually want to listen to your Audible books. Go to audible.com/MacBreak right now. And you can just kind of take a look at some of the things they have on the Audible side. There's 70,000 books, just a ton of them. There's a genre that has become very popular at Audible, which is merging classic fiction with horror fiction. So, Pride and Prejudice and zombies. You've seen that. There's a new one in that. Seth Grahame-Smith has done a new one in that genre. It's Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. This would be fun. Indiana, 1818. Moonlight falls through the dense woods that surround the one-room cabin where a 9-year-old Abraham Lincoln kneels at his suffering mother's bedside. She's been stricken with something the old-timers call milk sickness. My baby boy, she whispers before dying. Only later will the grieving Abe learn that his mother's fatal affliction was actually the work of a vampire. When truth becomes known to young Lincoln, he writes in his journal, henceforth my life shall be one of rigorous study and devotion. I shall become a master of mind and body, and this mastery shall have but one purpose. He sets out on a path of vengeance that will lead him all the way to the White House. Abe Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, you got it. Oh, this is going to be good.
I never thought of that.
I never thought of that.
In fact, I never thought I would ever think of that. In fact, I never thought that anyone would ever think of that.
Oh, I love this. This is so awesome. You got to go to audible.com/MacBreak. Sign up for your first book. I mean, really, these are fun. It is. We could listen to a little bit of it, I guess. Here, let me see here. I know I got it. I got the.
I saw the author's penmanship evolve from the overcautious script of a child to the tightly packed scribbling of a young man. I finished reading the last page, looked over my shoulder to make sure I was still alone, and turned back to the first.
You know, in a horror book, whenever they look over their shoulder to make sure they're still alone.
That's when you have the music.
Audible.com/MacBreak. Get it free today, and we thank them so much for their support. Plays, of course, on the iPod, the iPhone. It will play on the iPad. I checked. It's part of the iPad specs. But also on, a ton of other devices, including GPSs, Kindles, Zunes. I think you're going to love it. Audible.com/MacBreak. We thank them for their support of MacBreak Weekly. Let me look quickly and see if there's, this is, traditionally not a huge news.
I did figure out what Steve Jobs should do with, $40 billion in cash would get you?
Is that how much they have in cash?
$40 billion.
That's amazing.
Billion. And Steve said Apple must think big.
So they're going to do some acquisitions.
He said that they need to think about buying stuff and be bold. I have a bold suggestion for Apple.
Mm-hmm.
By my calculations, they have just about enough money to give an iPhone to every man, woman, and child in the United States.
Really? $40 billion?
They're pretty close.
Well, what would be the percentage in that?
Just think of an entire consumer market full of iPhone users. They would make the money back in quantity.
That's turning their business model upside down, right? Their model is. At least in the iTunes store, we don't make money on the music, but it sells iPods. I presume that's true of the App Store.
Well, I think they're making 30% on the apps, and there's nothing to download. They're making a lot of money on the apps.
More than music?
Oh, I think so. I think their profits are better on the apps than the music.
Why would it be?
Well, because it's a tiny little app, and they're.
I think apps are as big as music, aren't they?
Most of them are small. Most of the apps. I mean, there's some big apps. But also there's apps that cost there's
$25
price of
apps as well. Yeah,
apps are creeping up. They used to be
99 cents.
99 cents. Now a lot of the ones you're buying are $1.99, $2.99.
I noticed that.
Inflation. It's gone from 99 cents to $1.99 or $2.99. What is this world coming to?
It's a cost of living increase.
Well, people are figuring out that if you make a good application, that
it's worth $1. Come on, even $1.99 is cheap, right?
Or $2.99. And if now once it goes over $2.99, I go, well, am I really going to use this? But I have to admit that 99 cents, if I download it and it doesn't work at all, I kind of go, I probably should have read the, like if someone says it's good or it's on a list, and 99 cents, I'll just be like, But at $1.99, I start thinking about $2.99. I really start going, okay, am I really going to use this?
You know what they do on Android, which is really, I would love to see them do this on the iPhone. They When you buy an application on Android, it uses Google Checkout most of the time. I mean, it doesn't have to, but it uses if you do go through the marketplace. If you uninstall that application, I don't know how long you have, a week, 3 days, whatever. If you uninstall it, it automatically credits you with a refund.
That's great.
So basically, they have a system to try before you buy any app.
If they did that with the iPhone, I would go crazy.
It seems like this is why competition is good. This is why I'm not crazy about these lawsuits, because you at least as a consumer, you don't want Apple to suck the oxygen out of all these other guys. You want these other guys to do well. And because they innovate their way into new ideas, they put pressure on Apple to improve.
Right.
Well, anyway.
It went a lot faster. I mean, I think that we're seeing better results since Apple's gotten more serious competition.
Right. It's been 4 months since the 27-inch iMac was released. Now, I bought one and have been very happy with it, but so many people reported yellowing screens, flickering. So here's the good news. Apple has addressed the issue. Here's the official statement. Quote, we've addressed the issues that caused... They admitted it, which they hadn't done. They finally admitted it. We had addressed the issues that cause
They prefer
display
not to talk about
flickering
it until they figure out how they're going to get out of it.
Yeah, and they say contact AppleCare. You don't have to have AppleCare, but if you have a 27-inch that is flickering or yellow, this is the first time Apple's admitted it. And presumably, although, well, I'll be interested to hear from people who have this problem, they've have agreed to just replace it. There is a catch. Since the production halt a few weeks back, Apple's forums seem a little quieter regarding yellow screens, and flickering has already been solved by a firmware update. Still, and this is according to Gizmodo, that a number of people, they say 20, have written us since the production restart. Some are now on their 3rd plus iMac.
Version? Wow. Everybody that I've talked to that's got a 27-inch has been...
I'm thrilled. I haven't had one problem. But that, you know... and Gizmodo even points this out. Maybe it's 1/10 of 1% that have a problem, but if you sell millions of things, you're going to have thousands of problems.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people that are going to be mad,
and they're really mad. So here's the question: is it finally safe to buy an iMac? They link in here to tapplox.com. It's a website with basically what is a test. It's a grayscale test, and you should look at that at tapplox.com, and if it's yellow in any way, it should just be plain gray, right? Send it back. That's then you know. So you need to look at something that's gonna tell you whether you got a problem, and you want to do that early on. So
I think statistically you're okay to buy an iMac.
I think.
I mean, you're talking about. I think it's less than 1%. So I mean, you know, I'm not trying to fly a plane, so 99% is probably reasonable.
Yeah, I'll take it. Gizmodo's conclusion, yes, it's safe to buy an iMac. Do the test on receipt. If any part of the screen doesn't match your liking, you should, you know.
You're not safe to buy a MacBook Pro, though, because Leo hasn't bought one yet.
You know, I'm starting to feel pressure from people who are saying, Leo, you got to buy.
We're never going to get our.
We're never going to get the new MacBooks until you buy one.
Leo, just take one for the Gipper.
I shouldn't say this because this is just gonna stimulate more of the fever. I'm this close. I want a 13 and my 15, which is not that old, maybe a couple of years old. But you know, laptops take a beating, especially you know, I'm not that nice to them. It's starting to act funny. Have you had this problem where you're clicking on the track thing, but your palm is resting on the case, and it's like by pressing on the case, you're still clicking.
I haven't had that problem.
And I'm getting weird. It's like the trackpad's going, or
do you have the whole trackpad, the singular trackpad?
Yeah. It's the new.
I'm having trouble with. I just haven't had time to take mine in. Is that if I click on the sides of the trackpad now, about half the time it doesn't respond.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's starting to go.
And then the middle one, I have to try.
That's
do it
it.
in the middle. Yeah,
it's starting to go.
Yeah.
So
I heard the rumor I heard was that literally only 40% of these trackpads make it through production. You know, like through Q&A. So they're just very complicated. Wow. You know, to do the trackpad and the button at the same time turns out to be a big pain in the butt. But you know, that's what Apple does, is make big things that are pain in the butt for them.
So I'm willing to, you know, take my losses and buy a 13-inch, but I just was hoping for the new one.
Yeah.
Apple has been granted patents for the unibody MacBook design. Yep. Trio of patents awarded this week. 2 entitled Portable Computers show the design of the MacBook Air, which is 2 years old. 2 years old. And another one called Electronic Device applied to the, you know, the big aluminum MacBook Pro. They applied for those patents when those came out. So that's I'm not surprised. I think that's a nice. I think the Air's a nice. Do you think they'll kill the Air?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it solves a certain
market for it.
There's a certain market. I mean, people who have them that aren't trying to do any kind of graphics or any kind of real publishing. If you're just doing Excel and
right.
or pages and numbers and those types of things, I think the people that I've talked to that have them like that are really happy. People in our industry that need to put video and blog and everything else get a little frustrated.
It's kind of the netbook of Macs.
It really is. It's
expensive.
It's the Mac version,
which
means it's very expensive and very stylish.
I snuck upstairs. My daughter, I got her one for a trip to her stay in Europe last year, and now she has a regular MacBook from school. So I snuck upstairs and I said, "Abby, you don't want that Air anymore, do you?" She said, "Get away from me." She apparently does. Who knew? So I am stuck. I'm ready to buy the 13s. When do you think? When do you think the new unibodies?
One day after you give up and buy one. I think what you need to do is you need to be seen at an Apple store at least carrying.
Oh, maybe if I
one
just
around.
walked in.
Yeah, I think the security camera would
caressed
see you.
it.
And if you're picking it up and walk towards them and then just simply quietly put it down when no one's looking and walk out. That might be enough to fake Apple out. But I think we're going to see it this month. I just don't know exactly when. Usually Apple gets priority on a lot of these chips, and so it's surprising they wouldn't take more advantage of it.
Oh, well. We'll wait. We'll see. We are going to take... Should we start taking questions from the
Let's take some questions.
chat room? I cannot...
Let's chat, people.
I've made the mistake of tweeting about Twalkin before I was in, and I just cannot get in now. I don't know if it's... it's the way I'm doing it probably, but... it says I'm in Twalkin.
Oh, now it's going too fast.
Oh, I am in Twalkin. Never mind. Apparently I am in Twalkin.
All this time.
Well, that's what they're telling me. Let me go look.
2 extra batteries, and one of my batteries requires...
Let me go check out the Twalkin. Oh yeah, look at all these people in there.
No, so if you're in the unibody, you can't really. I mean, here's the deal with the unibody.
So you repeat the question.
So the question was, he's gone through 2 batteries, or he has 2 batteries. I didn't quite. I wasn't. Everything was moving too fast. But
it does go by fast.
Well, especially if you write a really long one, it's hard for me to keep up with it. Okay, I have to.
Here, I'll read it to you.
Have the new end held up like they.
I've got. Is this from Scott TD? Is that the one?
Yeah.
I've got what is now a more than 3-year-old MacBook Pro. I've gone through 2 extra batteries now, and each one is this the one? Mm-hmm. And each one of my batteries requires servicing according to Snow Leopard. That's right. Snow Leopard now tells you how much charge and stuff.
Yep.
Have the new internal batteries held up as they said they would with the newer unibody MacBook? So they have taken out the removable batteries and putting in non-removable batteries, which gives them more capacity. And presumably better battery life.
Mine have held up fine. I mean, the thing that one of the things that I haven't figured out exactly what you're supposed to do about this, but I was talking to somebody who deals a lot with these batteries, and evidently, if you leave your computer plugged in all the time, it had a tendency to kill the battery over time. Like
it's not supposed to do that.
And so what I used to do with my older batteries is I would have one battery that was the battery that I had in when it was sitting at the desk all the time, and then I had travel batteries, which I barely ever use. I only use them when I need them and keep them fresh. I have to admit, now I travel with one of the HyperMac batteries.
Yeah, you have that big extra.
So I'm a little. I never know exactly how long my Mac is going to last, because I have. The other thing I do is I've bought plugs for every place that I am. There's one that's here in the studio, and that's yours. But then in my office, I have one in the house and in my other office, and so my computer's kind of plugged in all the time, or I have a HyperMac battery, and I can't really say how long it lasts because. I just never really depend on the battery.
GeoMeek is on Twalkin. Hello, GeoMeek. Oh, are you there? See, they say I'm on it. GeoMeek, hello? Let me try somebody else before I decide. Way FM Guy 45. This is a little bit like chat roulette. Hey, Way, are you there? Way FM Guy 45.
Hello.
Yes, it's working. What's your first name and where are you calling from?
This is Adam, and I'm calling from Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, I just wanted to say that I love the in the way of the iPad. I love the idea of the iPad, and I'm very excited for it to launch too.
Good.
So
you're with me on that.
Pretty much, yeah.
Did you have a question of any kind, or you just wanted to say that?
I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, because I need some support, because I'm the only one. I'm hanging out here all alone with my love of the iPad.
I don't think anyone else is going to buy it.
What else, Adam? What else, Adam?
That's about it. Thank you, Leo.
Great to talk to you, Adam from Murfreesboro. Now we can get way. Look, it's just auto unmuting. Z Williamson, hello Z. What's your first name? Where are you calling from? Or whoever's there. I heard a voice. Speak to me. If you all speak at once, I'll tell you which one is talking. Okay, it's a guy laughing. It's you. You guy laughing. You.
It's Geo.
Hey, how you doing? Oh, and where you? This is GeoMeek?
It is.
It is. Okay, so it's apparently whatever is going on with Twalkin is...
There's some delay. Yeah, Twalkin's ahead of your audio
Aha.
on the show.
I don't even know how you could get ahead of the audio. What are they hearing?
It is.
They're hearing what we're going to say.
My stream must have breaks on it.
Yeah. Don't listen to the stream if you're on Twalkin, because Twalkin is actually much more real time than the live.twit.tv. So, what's your first name and where are you calling from?
George, North Carolina.
Hi, George. Welcome to the show. What can we do for you?
I really don't have any questions. I'm just I admire your work.
Thank you.
I enjoy your show, and I find it quite educational.
Well, it's always good to hear from a fan. I appreciate your calling in.
Well, thank you.
And have a
How do you hang this thing up?
I'll hang you up. Watch this.
Oh.
Click. Thank you, George. Appreciate it. We're going to take more calls. This is working. We have Twalkin. We'll take more questions from the chat room, too. It's amazing, the technologies. But if you are listening to the stream, that's fine. But if you're on the Twalkin phone, I would recommend listening to the audio. You're getting full audio on Twalkin, and that's going to be a different delay, usually less than what you hear on the live.twit.tv or even on our twit.am stream. Hey, let's take a quick break, though, and mention the folks at Carbonite. Yes, they've gone Mac. Carbonite now is Mac and PC. If you use the coupon code MacBreak, you can try it out for yourself free just by going to carbonite.com. Now, let me tell you what Carbonite is. Carbonite is automatic off-site backup. As soon as you install Carbonite, it immediately starts backing up your precious data, the photographs, the emails, financial records, your personal stuff, to the Carbonite cloud using SSL, so it's safe in transit. You can choose to use AES 256-bit encryption as well, meaning that it's double encrypted. It's really private. It is unlimited backup of everything internal to your computer. It doesn't include network drives or external drives. Everything internal to your computer, unlimited for less than $5 a month, which is an amazing deal. But you could try it free, and I want you to do that. I want you to see how it works. And I'll tell you why. Because it does rely on your upstream connection. So if you don't have broadband, for instance, this might not be a good choice for you. And if you have very slow broadband, you might find that it had a lot of data, that it takes a long time. So I want you to try it free first at Carbonite.com. Use the offer code MacBreak. If after playing it with it for a while, you say, this is it, and I know you will. I mean, that's what I use. Then you get 2 free months if you sign up. And as I said, less than $5 a month to try it. 13% of hard drives crash in their first year. That's not even the most of it. You know, about 43% of people say they've lost files that they consider irreplaceable every year.
And the
usually
thing is
user error.
It's not just drive errors. It's
user
also
error.
just but it's also what happens if you have a fire. What happens if someone breaks in? You know, having it only in your house is, even if it's in 2 drives. Even if
you got to get it off-site.
You got to have it in a cloud.
Got to get it off-site. That's Carbonite. Now, there's others for the Mac. You probably know some of the names. I want you to do a test. That's why we do the free test. And restore some stuff from them and from Carbonite. And you'll see why I use Carbonite. It is so much easier to restore. There's an iPhone app, which means you can get your files anytime on the iPhone. You can log into Carbonite and get it on any other computer as well. It is very easy to restore, and that's key. Automatic, off-site, secure, easy restore. It's backup done right. Carbonite.com. Use the code MacBreak to try it free. No credit card needed even right now. More questions. Do you want to take some from the chat room real quickly?
Sure.
Is there a way to implement QoS rules for the time capsule? He says it really bogs down his MacBreak Pro when he's using Final Cut. Bobby is apparently storing data on the time capsule. I wouldn't use Final Cut with a networked drive, would you?
No.
Seems like a bad idea.
You can use it on if the drive is designed for it, but not just an Ethernet.
Well, we use it on a SAN.
Right.
$20,000.
Well, we have a Drobo Elite that they
with the iSCSI.
With the iSCSI.
And that's probably fast enough
5 machines
to use as a scratch disk. Right. We're recording right now. This is just a G5, the quad G5 that I had lying around.
Right.
That's recording on Final Cut Pro, not to its internal hard drive, but upstairs. Right. But it's fiber channel. I mean, so it's high speed connection.
Right.
And these are high speed rated drives.
Right.
and it was 20 grand. So, but a time capsule is not going to ever give you the kind of performance you need, even on gigabit Ethernet.
No, you don't want to be working off of your time cap. Whatever you're backing up to, in general, you don't want to be working off of, because you don't want to be hammering those disks all the time. That's supposed to be your backup. It's supposed to sit there and wait for you and put stuff on it. That's what it's intended. You don't want to be going in and out, in and out. It's just not built for that.
Right. Question from Web7736. He said, here's your choice. Spend $600 on an iPad with no pressure sensitivity, or ModBook. My ModBook, he wants to draw on screen. If you're going to use it like you would use a Cintiq, if you want to use a tablet to draw, you should absolutely, I don't think, even though they showed off the drawing application and stuff, the iPad is not going to be as good a drawing situation.
Well, and really, if you're really drawing, I mean, the thing is, pressure. You really want to watch. You want a Cintiq. You want a Cintiq. I mean, if you
the ModBook is kind of like
it has some of that. It's a little it's coarse compared to a Cintiq.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you're used to a Cintiq, you're going to find the ModBook to be coarse. Of course, the iPad most likely is going to be a lot coarser than the ModBook.
Right.
And there's things you can't do. Like, for instance, one of the things that we're trying to figure out is we're kind of following Twit's leadership in being able to figure out ways to stream live from an event, and you really need a whole computer, and having some kind of screen-based CPU that can run Skype and hook to your camera and everything else. Maybe someday the iPad will do that, but that's another reason they have the ModBook.
This is where I think people are confused. I think I hear this all the time. Well, it doesn't have a camera, doesn't have flash, it doesn't have multitasking. You want a netbook, or you want a laptop, or you want. If you want a computer, get a computer. The iPad is not a computer.
It's good for what it does.
It's an appliance.
Yeah.
Now, the question remains, will somebody spend $499 minimum for an appliance? I think they will, but we'll find out in a month.
During the event, my son sent me it's only $499.
It's so funny because that price is so much lower than what we were all predicting, like almost by half. Right. And that's what the iPhone cost when it came out. It's less.
Right.
That's what the iPod used to cost. I mean, this is not an outrageous price for what you're getting.
Right. And it's for a certain segment of the market. I mean, a lot of people watching this show are much more sophisticated.
They want a notebook.
And you want something more complicated. But for a certain segment of the market, again, my parents-in-law, my kids to some degree. I mean, my kids are pretty sophisticated, but they don't need it to do much more than what their iPhone does. They just need it to be bigger.
Look, just wait. I will buy one the minute they come out, and I'll let you know. Well, maybe you wouldn't trust me, but will
I'm
you
going to get one too.
Yeah, all right.
I might get 1 or 2, 3, 4.
I just, I like the idea of watching videos on it. I like the idea of being able to read magazines on it. I like the idea of playing Scrabble on it.
I really think that I could get away, a third of my day could be on an iPad. Checking email, watching stuff. So.
We just don't know. We'll see. And, maybe the screen is not as easy to read as a Kindle. I don't know. I'm planning to use it that way.
I'm going to take it to dinner. I'm going
to wine it. I'm going to dine it. It's going to be my new girlfriend.
Hi, iPad.
I love my iPad.
How you doing?
What about, we didn't actually mention this in the news segment, HDMI on the Mac Minis. Now, didn't they announce that before?
I don't think they've had it out yet. I think that it keeps on, the rumor keeps on occurring. Right now, it's still DisplayPort, I believe, and DVI.
You couldn't get DisplayPort to HDMI adapters, can you not?
You can't. It'd just be nicer if you didn't have to. Okay. It'd be nicer if you those DisplayPort to HDMI finally are not painfully expensive, or that's been one of those things that it was just a bit of a rigmarole at first to get them, and now just being able to plug it in. I mean, the reality is DisplayPort, I think Apple thought it was going to be revolutionizing something, and they've taken a lot of chances. They were the first with USB, one of the first with USB, one of the first with FireWire, and they went out with the DisplayPort, and nobody followed.
Right.
So I think that I think DisplayPort's a bit of a dud. I think it saves Apple some issues related to some of the security stuff that's required in HDMI, and also some of the licensing in HDMI.
I think that's the reason that Apple hasn't done it so far, is because you could put HDMI on there, but if you're going to people see it, they're going to want to play protected content on it, which means you have to support HDCP, and now that's that bag of hurt that Steve Jobs was talking about not wanting to get into.
Right. So I think the DisplayPort was Apple's way around it. They may be capitulating to some degree with that. And what it'll mean, though, is if you have a DisplayPort and an HDMI port, what you're looking at is possibly being able to play some content out of your DisplayPort and not out of your HDMI port.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the kind of odd situation you could end up in.
So this is, again, still a rumor.
It'd be awesome, though. I mean, I have to admit, we plug into big monitors all the time, and we really wish we'd have HDMI.
It would make, as somebody's pointing out in the chat room, the MIC 171, it would finally make the Mac Mini a reasonable home theater PC.
Yeah.
You've had to kludge it up to now.
Yep.
In fact, I have a DVI to HDMI. Actually, it takes the optical out and the DVI out and puts it into HDMI.
Yep.
And it was expensive. It's a couple $100, I think.
Yep.
I'd probably Geffen, somebody like that. Let's take more Twalkin calls. Bruce R. Wilkie Jr. Wow. Hey, Bruce, Leo.
How you doing, Leo?
And Alex. I'm great. Where are you calling from, Bruce?
I'm in Central Virginia.
Great. What can we do for you today? Central Virginia.
Oh, very good.
Well, I've got. I just want to say I love your show. You guys are great. You're doing great things for people in the internet world. But really, what I wanted to say is, how are you dealing with the fact that Apple seems to be pushing people around a bit with these patents? Do you think the FCC will probably step in and say something, because the patents that they seem to be having and seem to be trying to enforce, if you ask me, are way too broad and way too specific in order to generate some sort of competition?
Well, first of all, because there's a lawsuit, the FTC is not going to weigh in at this point. The way they would weigh in is with a suit of their own, and so they'll let the courts decide this because there's a lawsuit going on. I don't think it's anti-competitive. If you have a patent,
you have
every right to enforce it. I can't think of a case where a company has been declared a monopoly and then its patents have been taken away.
Right. Well, and
no, we're not lawyers. We should say.
To also put it, and I think Scott would point out, if Scott was here, Scott Bourne would point out that if you don't protect your patents, you'll lose them. So if you've proven that you let people use,
that's true. Trademark, I guess it would be true.
Yeah. So if you don't, if you know that they're infringing on your patent and you don't do something about it, when it comes up again and you want to actually try to use that patent later, you can't. They'll say, well, why didn't you do it here? So that's the other issue that Apple's in, is that if they have all these patents, they're bound. If otherwise, why bother? And to be clear, I mean, a patent costs. I mean, I've had to deal with this a little bit. A patent costs, good patent's going to cost you $40,000 or $50,000 minimum.
Yeah, you spend a lot of money
together, if not $100,000. So Apple's sunk some millions and millions of dollars into these patents, and that's how they protect their place on the pile.
Persona non grata saying, go to monoprice.com. They have a DVI plus SPDIF digital coax optical toslink audio to HDMI converter for, get this, $41.41.
Yep, it's gotten a lot cheaper since we got into it.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, it was expensive when we started because it was like one per.
Yeah, it was very expensive. Yeah. So this is good. So, I mean, for $40, you can.
We showed some on MacBreak video. I can't think of the name right off the top of it. We covered some guys that are doing some great little converters that are like $20, $30, $60. Wow. I mean, so check out MacBreak video. I don't have it in front of me what it was, but I'm recovering it. They were great.
Yep. Well, or go to Monoprice and you can search for this. And I don't know how good it is, but that's a good price. Chad Florian is with us on Twalkin. Chad, welcome to. Let's see. I have to press the button. Welcome to MacBreak Weekly. Hello, Chad.
Hey, Leo.
Where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Tampa, Florida.
Great to have you. I'm loving taking calls. I think this is really fun. We're going to do this more often.
Absolutely.
Do you have a question, Chad?
Yeah, I was curious. I haven't heard anybody mention the Amazon Kindle app on the iPad, and if they're going to release an actual native resolution application so you can have all your Kindle books and iPad books and everything.
It's an interesting question because, as you remember, Amazon bought Stanza, which is another very good reader we love. And so they have the Kindle app plus they have Stanza, and now Apple did, remember, tell Stanza, oh, you can't use the USB port anymore, but that turns out that was because it was kind of an unofficial method. It wasn't approved in the SDK, so they were just enforcing SDK rules, not necessarily hitting on Stanza. That's where I think the FTC gets involved. If Apple says, we're selling books, so you can't put a book reader. Of course, they do this now. They say you can't duplicate functionality.
And you only get in trouble if you become the biggest name in town. So if you use your size, I think that Apple can get away with a lot when they're when they're not the
That's
leader.
Right.
It's once they get to 70, 80, 90% of the market, if they do. At the beginning, they can do anything they want. I mean, not anything, but they can be.
So Amazon really is the 800-pound gorilla and has to be more careful at this point than
at the moment
than Apple does.
But there's no. I think that Amazon can make a pretty good argument that they could pretty much do what they want but the biggest problem that Amazon has is Apple, because Apple's saying, you guys can make a little bit more money if you want to go ahead and make more money, and it has Amazon, and we'll give you more money, a higher percentage of your books. In Amazon, I did a bunch of the calculations on the average book being sold, and the $9.99, it could be argued that at $9.99 that Amazon's impressing, that the publishers are actually walking away with at almost as much money. When you look at the print prices and the prices of everything else going on, if Amazon gave them 70% or 80%, or 70% instead of 50% or whatever, they're actually walking away with when you think about publishing prices and distribution and like actually printing prices and distribution and everything else, it's not necessarily that much less, but I can definitely see at $15, which is what Apple's kind of offering.
I would do it. I'd still do it. Still half the cover price.
Yeah.
Cop Mike is pointing out in our chat room that the Kindle app on the iPhone does not allow in-app purchasing. So Apple would still have an advantage there with the iBook store.
If Amazon didn't, provide that functionality, the problem.
Well, but then would they be allowed to?
Here's the problem: is that I think that the biggest problem that's going to run up for Amazon if they don't deal with it sooner than later is that a Kindle is a poor version of a book. I mean, it's convenient, but it's not as good. An iPad version will quickly become better than the book.
Well, it'll be in color.
For a lot of it'll be in color.
This is the debate, though, is the
interactivity and video and all kinds of other stuff. It's going to be a different kind of book.
Right.
It's going to be it's going to be a different kind of media when it really starts taking off. The Kindle limits what Amazon can really do with their books to being this kind of static book-like thing. And I think that's going to be a big challenge for them, more than anything else.
Hey, I thank you for the call. Take care, Chad. You want to do a couple more? Let's
sure, I'm
run
having
up
fun.
Against the clock here. Let me just see. I can't tell how long the show has been because we started for like an hour ahead of time trying to get Andy on, even though he was on a plane, and I'm a moron. And Chucky J. Hey, Chucky J. Welcome to MacBreak Weekly. Where are you calling from today?
Gentlemen, I'm calling from Gainesville, Florida.
Great to have you.
Excellent.
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I have a question about future-proofing. Both of you guys are good for this question. I'm thinking Final Cut Pro. I'm thinking Premiere. I'm thinking the iPad's coming out. A lot of things are happening in the next couple years with what you guys are doing in media. And I'm working on kind of an amateur budget. I do a little bit of video work at work, but mostly that's not my job. I do a little bit of video work at church and other places. So what kind of choices would you make or would you recommend so that, say, 2 years from now, I'm not sorry I bought Final Cut Pro or not sorry I bought an HD camera that works off SD cards, those kind of things.
Well, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I think that what you want to do, what we do when we buy a lot of equipment, and what we do is we only buy what we painfully need to buy at that moment, and then we try to make sure that it's going to be good enough for the amount of time we're using it. What I think what gets people in trouble, what has gotten us in trouble when we first started out, and what people gets people in trouble is they overbuy. You never want to overbuy technology. So you always want to buy what you want to think about how you're going to possibly go, but you don't want to buy like when we bought our Sony F950 now, for a year, we didn't really get any work out of it. Now, we had to buy it when we bought it, but that was, tens of thousands of dollars.
Because you bought too far ahead?
We bought a little. It was a little further ahead than what we could afford, and it caught up, and it made sense in the long run. But what I will say is that by the time we were really doing well with it, we could have put if we hadn't done that, we could have put $1,000 down on a Red.
Right,
and gotten a Red, instead. Yeah. And so,
well, that's the trick, is to decide. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to buy something like the Red that's going to have headroom and it's going to have the future, but
you got to know where you're going to go with it.
That's what you don't know. Is this going to be the next big thing, or is this going to be something that we're going to throw in the closet?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're going to be able to do a lot with either Premiere or with the Final Cut. They're both great editing apps. Editing has really become something that is fairly stable. That we're not really changing the way we do it. They all do it roughly the same way. I know that our editors prefer Final Cut over Premiere. They kind of bristle at Premiere, but I think that it might be that they also started on Final Cut.
Right.
I know a lot of people that edit on Premiere. Premiere used to really be bad, and it's gotten a lot better. And so there's not any surefire one way or the other. I know that for us, most of our editing, most of our graphics are done in Motion, most of our editing is done in Final Cut. We're kind of that house. And because we're so, Mac driven, it makes the most sense. But I don't think that if you went the other way, you would necessarily be making a mistake. It would just be a different direction. What I would do is do it incrementally. If you can get away with using, iMovie for some of the first stuff, it's fine.
I know you probably look down your nose at me, but I think iMovie's pretty great, and I'm sufficient for 99% of what I want to do.
I actually.
What would I miss if I didn't spend the money on Final Cut? What about Final Cut Express?
Final Cut Express is a great place to go. It'll do for most of your just straight cut editing. It'll do everything that you need to do.
Yeah, the reason I end up using iMovie is because I can understand it better. As soon as you get to the Final Cut UI, it's tough.
If you're slapping a bunch of stuff together,
that's what I mostly do.
Incredibly,
and it's easy.
It's so fast to slap something together. The problem that you get into is if you want to design some really like this little MacBreak weekly lower third that kind of flies in and everything else. You can get the ones that they have for you, but what you can't do is do as much design work without doing a little bit of hacking to get it, to work in iMovie. And so
you use Live Type, or what is that?
I just think that we design them in Motion. So we build all of our lower thirds in Motion, and
so you get Motion with Final Cut Express, though, don't you?
Well, no,
you don't. You have to get the studio.
You have to get the studio, and the studio, I have to say, is the best deal going around. I mean,
$12.99
for you have a color editing program. Okay. Color is
if you need it, it's worth it.
If
we have 3 copies of
Studio,
Final Cut Studio, $12.99 each, and I'm going.
And we've got more.
Yeah,
and so
that's a lot of money.
What? Yeah,
but you get a lot of stuff.
But you get a lot of stuff, and it's that's one of our it's very high value there.
This has been a lot of fun. I think, though, we better wrap it up because, we've been here a while.
You got other shows.
I got other shows.
You got loans and other shows and
stuff. But we do want to do our picks of the week. Do you have a pick besides Plants vs. Zombies, which we played for the first hour of the show?
I was going to pick it again because it was so.
It's such a good game. Alex and I, we were. For those who weren't watching live, I had this foolish notion that Andy was going to be here. And so I kept calling him, and I kept waiting and putting it off. But as we were waiting for his Skype to answer, we went through about 3 levels of Plants vs. Zombie on the air, and it was fun. That's a great game. Very addictive. I'm going to recommend. You want to do that again, or you want to do something else?
No. So I want to. Did you? I have a question for you, actually.
Yes,
first.
sir.
Did you recommend the Wii scale?
The Why things? Yes. Not only did I recommend it, I use it.
I use it too.
Are you a Why Things guy?
They sent me one to test because we're working on a new show, and so I have a test one right now, and I like it.
What are you going to call the show? The largest weight loss
No, it's
guy?
MacBreak Home. It's for a whole bunch of.
Oh, that's good.
It's for like using Mac stuff at home.
So if you go, so what's your? Mine is Leo's _
I'm not
scale.
Twittering. I should Twitter my weight.
Well, that's the whole point of it.
No, the whole point is just that I can stand on it, and then I have it online.
It's
quickly.
not. I would like to know what your thought is, because I don't think it's the most accurate scale I've ever seen.
I tested against my other scale, and I've actually found it to be identical.
Okay.
So I actually thought that at first.
As long as it's consistent. Now, I'm weighing myself every day, and it goes up and down and up and down.
That's just your weight. I mean, that's my weight, too.
That's normal? You fluctuate like
3 pounds?
Yeah. No, not even usually that much.
Mine will go up and down 3 pounds.
In one day?
In one day. In fact, I'll go to bed at one weight and be 2 pounds lighter in the morning.
So that's normal.
That's because my body just does run.
Yeah, you shouldn't weigh. If you weigh yourself,
that's
that's why they say don't weigh yourself every day. Anyway, so I'm tweeting at Leo's _ scale. This is an expensive scale. It's $159, but it does tweet. And it gives you a great website with lots of flash animation, and there's an iPhone app.
There's an iPhone app, and I like it. I think I have a connectivity problem with it right now at my house, and so I'm trying to get that sorted out.
It's kind of cool the way you set it up.
You put your little so it's the sound that goes into it, right?
That's what's
happening. So what happens is you put your iPhone into this little pocket in the back of it, and you hear this quiet.
It talks to it.
They're like, "Hey, I'm a little scale. Do you want to talk?" And the iPhone
and it sets it up for the Wi-Fi access spot and everything.
Yeah, just like, "Oh yeah, you can talk about it, and we can talk." And so it's actually so I'm actually enjoying it. I'm still testing it and trying to get this connectivity issue to work. No, so
to be honest, I don't know if I recommended it on MacBreak Weekly. I know I did it on GizWiz. I don't know if I mentioned it on MacBreak Weekly.
The other one that I'm enjoying a lot, that I'm using a lot, is the newest update of the NPR app. Has really
they just updated it. What's new in there?
Well, here's the deal: is that you can quickly get to a lot of the different shows. You can add the shows to the playlist. You can also one of the other cool things about it is that you can you can stream from every station. I'm not sure if they had that before. Or I just realized it. But what's fun is listening to NPR from Gainesville, Florida, or listen I don't listen to NPR from San Francisco.
Yeah, love that.
But it's actually working really well, and I think that the way that they're handling the programming and being able to add to the playlist was improved from the original app.
Mm-hmm.
The original app was kind of like, these are the stories we're going to, these are some stories available,
right? And
the organization of it has working, and there's just a couple things that I'm enjoying. And then live air traffic control. That's the other one that I've been listening to. You listen to live air traffic control?
Well, whenever I'm on a United flight, I listen on Channel 9. It puts me right out.
Oh, I love listening to it. What's funny is listening to pilots get snitty with the air traffic control, and the air traffic control is like quietly telling them to back off, and it's all in the under.
Yeah.
It's like they're
you have to know the lingo to really know what's going on.
And they're trying to be polite, but they're saying like, let my plane go, let my people. Anyway.
I'm going to recommend, if you've ever used Echo Phone, we actually talked about this on Twit a little bit. Dwight Silverman was plugging this. If you've ever used Echo Phone on the iPhone, it's one of the very popular Twitter clients on the iPhone. The folks at Echo Phone have done a desktop Echo Phone. It's funny. It's kind of like Tweety or one of the other iPhone
you like
apps.
it better than Tweety?
Yeah, I think it's pretty nicely done. It's very spare. I mean, on the desktop, not on the iPhone.
I
use Tweety on the iPhone, but Echo Phone on the desktop. See, this is on a Macintosh.
See, what's funny is that I still use Twitter on desktop.
Yeah, I use Brizzly.
I guess I'm pretty old fashioned.
It's pretty cool. So you can it has a drawer where you can click on somebody's name. It'll show the drawer and it lets you do things like reply to them, send a message to them. It'll give you their status update. You can see a lot more about them. I mean, it's just an interface. It's not. There's no magic in here that's not available on other Twitter clients, but it's just very pretty, very Mac-ish. And right now it's free because they're beta testing it. So I don't know if it'll continue free, but 0.99 is the current version, and you can...
I really should move to the... What? To this month.
To this month?
Be more current. I'm still using Twitter. I go to twitter.com.
A lot of people use it. You can tell, if you're on Twitter, you can tell what people are using.
It says.
So you can, I often, just to see what people are using, I will go to Twitter and I will, let me sign in here in my Twitter account.
Usually if I say something useful, it's on Twitter, and then if I'm complaining, it's on my phone, because I'm usually standing in line somewhere.
I want some Buzz applications. That's what I want. So yeah, you can see. So
I don't like Buzz.
So this guy's using TweetDeck, Foursquare, Web, Twitter feed, TweetDeck, a lot of TweetDecks. Here's an Echo Phone. Twitter feed, Seismic, Twitter feed, Uber Twitter, Tweety. So you can go down and you can see what people use, and you can also click on it, which is kind of nice, and it'll take you to that site so you can see what's out there. But Echo Phone, brand new. You can take a look at it.
Do you use Bitly?
I do use Bitly.
I love Bitly.
Who doesn't use Bitly? Doesn't everybody use Bitly?
I think everybody uses Bitly.
ECHOFON.com. Free right now while they're in beta test. I'm Leo Laporte. I thank you so much for being here on MacBreak Weekly. Next week, we'll go back to our regular format. I know we did 2 in a row that were kind of weird. I know that. I'm no fool. I can tell. Andy and Knock will be back. We'll get Merlin Mann on as well.
Last week?
We did a all picks episode.
Oh, that was a good week.
I enjoyed it. We got, I would say 99% positive feedback.
1% really pissed off.
1% saying, bring back MacBreak Weekly, and those people are going to write to me again this week because they're not happy about the call-in, I'm sure. But we will go back to our...
Where's the clock?
Clock! Right there! Right behind me. Alex Lindsay is at the Pixel Corps, pixelcorps.tv for the podcasts, and a ton of podcasts coming up from PMA now, right?
They're all coming out right now on This Week in Photography, and so they're rolling out. We are packaging them up a little bit together because we shot too many. So we're
you shot too many, really?
We shot. I know we shot 27 in 3 hours, and we thought maybe that might be too many to put out all together. So we're experimenting with packaging like 3s and 4s together. Three or four of them together at a time, so it's not quite so as much of an onslaught. And NAB, we're probably going to refine that to even. We're kind of getting to this thing now where we know we can shoot them.
It's so great, though. If you're interested in that conference and you want to know everything that went on at PMA, you can go there and you look at all these cameras and stuff, and you guys do a great job.
Well, one of the things that we started getting into, because we shoot so many of these shows, is now we're doing enough of them where we now back up and I spend a day going through it and doing research, and then we back up and what are the real stories here?
Right.
You know, and then we're trying to tie those.
Do you have the T2i on there? I'm sure you do.
You know, I don't. Canon wasn't there.
They weren't there?
They weren't at PMA.
What the heck?
Well, there's some rumors about that they're going to have a big showing at NAB, and they may be moving chips from the still cameras into the video cameras. That's the rumor. No, that's a rumor, not a fact. So we think NAB is going to be pretty exciting, and we're going to be there in force and shooting probably lots of episodes, and then we're going to try to kind of compile them back so people can really see what was hopefully important. Pixelcore, I got Twitter on the brain. Pixelcore.tv. Pixelcore.com is where you should go if you're a multimedia artist or you would like to be working in that field where you can learn and get work. Pixelcore, Pixelcorps.com. We invite you to watch our show. We normally, if all goes well, we do the show 11 a.m. Pacific. That's 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1900 UTC at live.twit.tv every Tuesday. Please stop by and say hi, be in the chat room, or maybe we'll use Twalkin again. And I loved it.
Call in. It was really fun to
I think
calls.
that could be a regular thing.
Yeah, we won't do it every time, but we'll definitely do more of it. I love it. Thank you all for being here. Now get back to work. Break time is over.